everybody, and welcome to Whispers on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is 7:06 p.m., 52 degrees here in downtown Wheeling. Give us a call, 304-214-1600. If you're out of the area, call us toll-free, 866-514-1600. I'm Jordan Klein here with Nick Queen and the lovely but a little sick, a little under the weather, Lola Miller.
If I start like my eyes rolling up in my head, just throw something at me.
We'll let you sleep.
It had just started this morning. You know, I was going to go to my other job and got dressed, got over here, and thought, oh, I just feel horrible. Anyway, so I took some medication. Me and the cat and the two cats and the dog all fell asleep for about an hour and a half, and they came in, and it's just my throat and my ears.
There's been something going around.
Oh, there is. There's no doubt about it. John was feeling it too, and of course we share a mic, which really helps. So, just bear with me for the next 2 hours.
One person gets sick here, everybody gets sick.
Yeah, it's like nursery school.
You're all going to catch rabies.
That's probably what it is. If I start foaming at the mouth, just go get me a raccoon.
I'll get it. I told
Are you getting hairier and stuff?
Well, Nick wanted me to open the show this morning by howling.
I think we go the whole Teen Wolf. Go ahead, do it.
Go ahead. Oh my goodness!
We were watching How I Met Your Mother with. They had Teen Wolf playing basketball. I said, Jordan, that is you. We'll get you all suited up and ready to go. You can get him for the Wildcats. He'll be a wide receiver.
What is the Wild? Is that like a new indoor
football?
Is that new indoor football like the
we have
Greyhounds?
to go watch one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it mentioned a few times. I wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to go see.
All right, everybody. Those of you
it's a lot of fun.
Did you get to go to the first game?
I've gone to both of them so
really?
far.
I need to get to
and
one.
see, now I could yell. I could be obnoxious to the referees
because you're
the
not
coaches.
part of the team
That's
now.
Right.
Oh, trouble.
I always watched Greyhounds. I only got to see them on TV. I got here right at the end of when they were here, when I moved.
That's it. I missed it all, so I didn't get to. I worked with a few of them. One at Fox Run and one at New Horizons Youth Center. I worked with some old ex-Greyhoundians.
I worked with Jose Davis. So when he was
doing great.
Yeah, he was. Did I hear correctly? He is the coach of Belair now. Jose Davis.
I don't know.
They were interviewing. John was interviewing him on Wild Sports Wednesday. That he said Jose Davis, and I thought I heard that right, but he didn't say the name again before I got out of the car. But it sounded like him a little bit, but I don't know. They
may have been talking about Nate. I mean, because the draft is.
Well, no, they were interviewing him as being the new head coach of
I
Belair,
didn't know that. That's
Big
great.
Red. That would be great. Yeah, he was saying that he had no coaching experience before. It sounded like him.
Well, that's good. Then it must be. That's awesome.
Maybe
I'm gonna have to get out to one of the games then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but you got to come to a Wildcats game.
They're
awesome. They're absolutely awesome.
What's the mascot look like?
They don't have one.
Nick?
I was gonna say it's probably no. You're the one that's gonna be hairy, so you kind of get the Wildcat.
You got
look
what
going.
a bunny? No, a chicken suit.
Not anymore. When I had the rat problem in the basement, they
ate it
lived
up.
in it and made babies in it, and I threw it away.
He is a furry no more.
Aw, darn it.
I know, right?
Well, that's one convention we don't
do?
have to worry about you going to.
I'll take pictures.
Let's move on.
For those of you that have somewhat been paying attention of our online activities, our forum is back up and running.
Everything's fixed online. We're running good.
It crashed when our website crashed, so we got everything back up, and we're starting to rebuild it. So check that out. Show discussions.
Yeah, we didn't want to. It's been up for a couple of weeks. We have a couple of things going on in there. I wanted to make sure everything was going to work before I announced it. So
that's always a smart move.
Well, we did. I think last time we got it semi-fixed. As soon as people started getting on it, the whole thing crashed.
And I emailed my friend in Australia. He's like, "Okay, we got another problem." He just kind of sent a couple of cuss words, and he went back to work. And he moved us to he bought a super. He called it a super server. It's got like 32 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, this
not a
thing is
clue
crazy.
what you're talking about.
Nobody does.
A real big one.
It's huge.
He got a big one.
It's like
it runs
the Superman of running internets.
They rebuilt the site. We had the technology.
All right, everybody. The moment you have all been waiting for. Bum, bum, bum. So I wanted to add that. Our guest tonight, Mr. Joe
This
Montaldo.
rabid stuff is just getting old fast.
At least I'm not foaming at the mouth. Okay,
Yet.
if I was slobbering all over this microphone, I mean, there'd be a few.
Why other people do?
I can see Biff over here in the morning. What is that?
It smells like dog.
Jordan marked his territory. Yeah.
Oh,
Do you lift your leg?
I hope.
Our guest tonight.
He's turning all red.
Our guest tonight, Mr. Joe Montaldo. He's the co-founder and international director and spokesperson for the ICAR, which is the International Community for Alien Research. He is also the host of UFO Undercover. Mr. Joe Montaldo, you with us?
Oh, wait.
There we are.
There he is.
Also owner of the Paranormal Radio Network.
Also the owner of the Paranormal Radio Network.
Which y'all should be on.
We're working on it.
Y'all.
You have my phone number.
We'll have to talk after the show. Oh, y'all are cracking me up. I didn't know if y'all had the mic on or not, so I didn't want to laugh real loud.
That's okay. Join the club here.
You see how they make fun of me? I get, infected with a deadly virus, and they want me to howl. They have me howling. I don't know if you caught that part of Lola had you on the
He
line.
has rabies. To put it bluntly.
Wait, I think I heard that on last week's archive or something.
Yeah, he has only one shot left to take, though.
Yeah, I had my fourth shot today, so I'm doing pretty good.
So you're hanging, you're not dying. I had two friends get them from. Oh man, look, they griped and moaned and.
Oh, let me tell
the
you,
whole time.
they were making me sick, but you know what happened, guy you are.
But he did survive.
Oh Lord, y'all would fit right in. Y'all crazy as we are.
We're about
Where
to
are
get
you
crazier.
at? Where are you at?
I'm actually in New Orleans, is where I'm visiting.
Oh, right.
right.
Okay.
But the network goes everywhere. Right now, we're at 3.8 million weekly listeners. So, and matter of fact, y'all will be seeing us in Associated Press when I'm in D.C. Next week. I'll be getting an award from Associated Press along with a few other things, making us the 7th largest internet broadcaster, as far as I know, on the planet.
Well, congratulations.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, when it pays, you can tell me.
Well, when it pays, hopefully you got us a paycheck, too.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody. When it pays, we'll talk. Right now,
You have my phone number now. Then I'll be giving you my address.
now it just costs money these days, but it does real well, so I'm happy with
Oh,
it.
good.
Well, as does every fun hobby.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. The show I host, UFO Undercover, does about 680,000 listeners on a Wednesday night, but it's an old show. It's deceptive because I used to host Wake Up USA for about 5 years, and when I moved from Wake Up to UFO Undercover, we just brought the audience with us. So people always ask me, "Well, that show's only 3 years old. How you got such a huge audience?" I say, "Because I've been hosting for 8 years."
Wow. So UFO Undercover, do you just strictly do UFO stories?
Well, I do a lot of physics, too. I had Michio Kaku on and Negril Tyson and Paul Lavalette and a few others like that. So we do, the organization I work for really researches and occasionally space science just to try to help people understand that, look, guys, I had a nice 2-hour conversation with Michio Kaku about this, and what we did is we actually broke it down for 2 hours to show people how you could get to the planet without fast and light travel, how you can get out into the galaxy and explore the entire galaxy in under 200,000 years at half a light speed. And they're like, well, that's forever. Well, yeah, we plan on being around several billion years, so really that's a drop in the bucket, is it? We were showing them stepping stones, and it was just to help people understand that, no, you don't have to travel fast and light. As far as we know, the little grays have been around for 2 or 3 billion years plotting throughout our galaxy. So, God, they may have colonies all over the place as far as we know. The thing is, we just don't know, so... but it's a good, solid theory. I seen him use it on, what was it, on one of the PBS shows the other day he was using it.
Yeah.
He actually sent me an email. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. You're the big guy, not me. And,
now, your abduction, you do a lot of research and focus on abductees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I got a lot of questions that focus on abductees. And so did Lola's got her hand
I've
up.
got one.
All right, well, Lola,
I start laughing. Don't worry about it. Just go.
I think we'll go ahead and get Lola's out of the way.
Yeah, let Lola get hers.
This is a burning question. And the show before this one with SNL, this was what people wanted us to ask. What is up with anal probes?
Anal probes. Well, you know what? It's funny because I get asked that question from time to time.
I bet you do.
And in all fairness, it's probably 1 in 1 in 500 cases where it's actually involved. As far as I can know, it's just like the Betty and Barney Hill case or any other case. It's just one of those things that happens. Coming out of the ceiling, and it's got these little finger-like things on it, and if there's a hole, it goes in it.
Oh man, if you're a belly sleeper, you're in trouble.
So the thing of it is it's from what I hear, it's a very uncomfortable.
Well,
I haven't experienced it, but I've actually heard some pretty horrific stories about it, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then so, but I don't. As far as I can see, it's just for a regular, everyday exam. I don't think it's anything more than that. I can tell you, people say that. Sometimes they can actually feel the one going down the throat and the one coming in the other way.
That's too many sensors that I don't want probing.
So I was kind of like, okay, and I was very polite. I said, some of this stuff I don't think I really want to know.
I know it. Too much information.
We'll put it in the database and leave it there. But, I mean, as far as we can see, there's other than just physical exam, there's no other real reason for it. And like I said, it's not really in that many cases. Or if it is, they're not admitting to it. So.
Well, would you?
I wouldn't. I'd be like, what probe? What?
Yeah.
Especially the guys, they're like, what? Oh, what probe and what? No, they don't even want to talk about it. But it's just one of those things. But it does happen from time to time. It's usually, to be honest with you, best we can tell, because most of the really nasty stuff happens from from the start of puberty up to about age 28. So. Right as you're going into puberty and all the way through your 20s until about 28 or 29, that's when the really nasty stuff happens, and that's probably one of the very first things they do early on. And then after that, they get into some pretty nasty stuff, and then they get out of it. And we ask people all the time when they come to see us, do you really want to know what happened to you? Because it's going to change most people's lives, and sometimes it's not for the good. Sometimes it's much for people to deal with. And then a lot of people, I got to be honest with you, I'm an alien abductee. Well, no, you're not. And actually, you've got way bigger problems than
we got to ask your stepdaddy some questions.
We refer him to a psychologist. You'd be surprised how many molestation cases turn into alien. I don't know why, and it doesn't matter if it's male or female, but probably a full 5 or 8% of the cases we get in, that's what they are. It's some type of molestation or some type of sexual abuse, and I guess they hide it with the alien abductions.
Well, yeah, why? It would be hard. We just had somebody on another show yesterday talking about children, and you don't want to admit that somebody that you trust and love has done this to you. So, what's the best story you can come up with?
And that's a good one. The aliens did it.
Yeah.
But we were surprised at first how many we get now. Not so much. I mean, now we refer them. We have a couple of psychologists we work with, so we refer them out to the psychologists and let them deal with them because I am not a psychologist. People, and then you get stuff. You get a lot of abuse cases where what I'm talking about is like alcohol or drug abuse or things along that. People who have been long-term abusing drugs and alcohol tend to think they've been abducted by aliens. Now it gets sticky there because. I got to tell you, most abductees have addictive personalities. About 50% of them do. And so they will have alcohol problems or drug problems or stuff like that. So you got to walk kind of a line there.
Now, would you say that was to help them cope, though?
That's what they say it is. Now, for us, we're not really sure. We know that addictions tend to run in the families and so do the abduction. So maybe it just started way back, and that is the way they cope with it, or maybe they just have a disposition for drug or alcohol abuse. There's not quite enough cases. We're about 11,000 cases now, and there's just not quite enough to draw those conclusions. But we're getting closer each week.
How many cases do you get a year?
This year so far, we're about 1,600 cases this year. Last year, about 4,700 cases.
Wow.
Now, out of that, and I got to be honest with you, out of that, about 1,700 are what I call physical cases, where one of the investigators were physically there. The rest of those cases are either submitted to the website and dealt either via the phone or via the internet or some form like that. So we don't give them quite as much credibility as we do the cases we can actually get our hands on the people, but still, we do count them. So when you add those in on our physical cases, probably 15,000, 18,000 cases somewhere since we started the organization. And I really thought when first I got involved with this, and just 25 years ago, and a friend of mine told me she'd been abducted, I said, yeah, okay, you're crazy, let's go to the shrink. and I thought that was going to be the end of it, I got to be honest with y'all. And now here I am almost 28 years later going, what the hell did I get myself into? And it's way more involved than most people realize. There's a lot of stuff going on, but when it comes to the aliens themselves, people ask me all the time, what are they doing here? Why are they here? Well, Bottom line is we kind of know, but we don't really know. And if they're here to conquer us, they would have done that 6,000 years ago. And if they were here to enlighten us, they would have done that 6,000 years ago. So
yeah.
For us, it's basically they're here for their own reasons.
They're going to the circus.
Agenda. Yeah, they have their own agendas they're running, and there's several agendas that they're running. But it deals with us on the fact that we're part of the agenda. But really, that's all we are. We're just part of what's going on. We're not the whole thing by any means. I know humans have this need to be, to put everything on them first because of our egos. But in fact, a lot of this has more to do with the aliens than it has to do with us.
Do you think it could have anything to do with trying to find? I mean, going back to stop laughing at me. They're laughing because I sound so bad tonight.
I'm sorry.
We love you, Lola.
I know. Trying to find another planet to colonize.
We've talked about that, and the reason why is there's been some recent stuff in the last 5 years or 8 years. I don't know if y'all have heard of the map of the Creator. It's on the Prevada website. It was a map found by a group of Russian archaeologists about a decade ago. It was dated out. Originally, they tried carbon dating it, but it went back too far, and they did some other dating, and it dates out to about 120 million years. Well, we all know that there wasn't supposed to be any humans on the planet 120 million years ago.
Right.
Now, this thing's been verified by 3 or 4 other groups, so there's no real argument against, if it's real or not. They agree that it's real, but it's an aerial resource map. It's a resource map of a valley taken from an aerial view about 121 million years ago. Now, we weren't here, but somebody was. So what they're saying is a lot of the contactees say the reptilians, which aren't actually reptilians, but they say the reptilians are actually from here and had left about 60, 65 million years ago. And they say they're back now and intermingling with the population on a regular basis. And there is some evidence for that. I mean, a lot of the contactees say it, and then there is some stuff that parts of the brain. And also, if you look at every great beyond the story, what I like to call the Adam and Eve story, where the... Real
quick, can I interrupt you?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said reptilian section of the brain?
Yeah, there's in your brain, everybody has it. According to evolutionary theory, we evolved from reptiles. So there's a little part in your brain that's actually reptilian. It's actually a node, or I forgot what they call it. It's been a long time since I looked it up, but it's actually in your head.
So when I call Nick a bird brain...
That is not a reptile.
Well,
Only if you believe the reptiles turned into birds. That one's still open.
Well, okay. I'll give you that one.
Okay, I have some questions on... I've spoken with somebody who claims to have been abducted, and I've known this guy for a very long time. And it's a relationship where I trust him a lot. You know what I mean? He was I'm not gonna go. I've known him ever since I was a little kid. He's always been a father figure. He's not my dad or anything like that. Somebody who I've been with growing up. And as I talk to him now, he'll start to talk about things that have happened to him. And he was always in like MUFON and things like that. But he goes into more detail of why. And some of the characteristics that he says, I just want to cross them by you to see if it's things that happens, to other people too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like he's always been afraid of praying mantises. There's always been a fear of the praying mantis.
Well, that means he's got either gray or amphibian contact. But go ahead.
He'd say, his belief is that, it's more with light waves than... What was that? It was like they're phasing down. He believed that what we see of aliens is really like a light wave hallucination type of thing. We see what they are wanting us to see, that is going to like comfort us or what we're going to expect. Like he'll say he'll be walking, in his kitchen, and there'll be like a cat with really big eyes kind of sitting at his window. And the next thing you know, he wakes up 2 miles down the road naked, bleeding from his holes, covered in gravel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is things like that characteristic?
Well, it has a lot to do with, when it comes to contact, it has more to do with age than it does anything else. Give you a couple quick examples. Age 0 to 5, most of the children will either say they got an invisible friend, or they're quite comfortable with the grays or the reptilians or the aliens. There's no real fear there. From puberty, like I said, to 28, it's pretty horrific. It's pretty rough in there. Now, once you break age 30, contact changes immensely for most people.
Yeah, he's, I believe, his 40s.
Yeah, and if he's in his 40s, he's probably going to be moving into what they like to call the awakening stage, where they start recalling a lot of what's happened to him.
It's what he says. He says they can't erase his mind anymore, and it makes them mad.
Yeah, it's a lot of it comes through, but what you got to tell him is probably half of what he remembers is real. The other half is probably either BS or misinterpretations. Because the problem is with all contactees, we have a good what we call abduction criteria for contactees, but the problem is somewhere along the line, it's hard to take what's being done to them and what's being told to them and translate it into human terms. It's like, especially since most of the aliens are telepathic, if I imaged you a cup of, a saucer and a cup with liquid in it, how would you know what I was talking about? I mean, is it a half a cup? Is it coffee? Is it a white cup? I mean, there's just so many ways you can interpret that one little symbol that it's what happens is, and especially after long term, a lot of these memories become created memories. And there'll be some truth in them, but a lot of it will just be the mind's way of coping with what's going on. And so we tell everybody to keep a journal, and we tell everybody to keep a journal from start to finish. And we tell everybody the same thing about every 60 or 90 days, go back and compare, the last 90 days to the previous 90 days and so on and so forth. And you'll start to see some similarities, and it really helps to open a lot more memories, a lot more serious memories. But he does. I mean, some of the stuff you're talking about is classic, but then it could be Millab too.
He also says, like he'll walk into his kitchen or living room or something, and it'll look like there's three small kids that are kind of oddly looking would be in his room. They'd all be dressed alike, and then he would black out.
Well, that's not uncommon there, but and like I said, that's going to vary from contactee to contactee or from abductee, because you get in that point where you're still an abductee. Meaning that you're being abducted, but you really haven't come to terms with it, so you're still an abductee. Contactees have somewhat come to terms with it and really are trying to understand their contact. So a lot of times they'll know ahead of time before the aliens pick them up, or they'll start getting their sense, or they'll start getting goosebumps, or their stomach will start getting upset, but they know that something's coming and getting ready. It's almost like the aliens are giving them a few minutes to prepare themselves.
Yeah, he's explained. He said that to me before. Nick?
Now, so it sounds like if you get abducted, you're going to continue getting abducted throughout your life, or are there some that get abducted and
they spit you out and never want you?
Yeah, never want you again. Is there?
There are a few, like Travis Walton. Travis Walton was a one-time abduction. He was simply
that's fire in the sky, right?
Yeah, fire in the sky.
Why is that? Have you figured out the reason why?
Because he was a dumb butt, and he ran up underneath the flying saucer and said, "Hey!" And they took him.
He was hitchhiking.
They said, "You moron! You're going to come up," and poof, they took him. I tell people all the time, don't go screwing with them unless you want to get abducted, because hey, they see you standing out there in the middle of the wall. And a matter of fact, when I met Travis, I told him that, and he just busted out laughing. He couldn't hold it in. He said, he said, I was thinking that at the moment. He said, what kind of blank am I doing? But it was too late then. They had already had him. And so you do get, like Charles Hickson, it's Pascagoula. You get cases where, for some reason, you just were in the wrong place at the right time, in the right place at the wrong time, however you want to look at it, but it happens. But in general, abductions happen pre-birth all the way to death.
Pre-birth?
Yeah, well, they're taking your mother while you're in the womb. So it's your abductions actually start before you're born and go all the way through until you die. And if you ever notice, there's a lot of UFO reports over mortuaries. And for a long time, we couldn't figure out why.
Well, it seems like more like they're researching then.
Yeah, we were like, what the hell? Why would they be interested in dead people? I mean, come on, they're abducting people by the millions. Why? And a friend of ours a couple of years ago, we got this program where we will, under hypnosis, we'll give a contactee a group of questions to ask the next time they're being abducted. And we do it like that so that it's automatic. When the person sees the abductor, these questions are just telepathically beamed into the head. And a lot of times the Greys or the reptilians or even the humans will answer without thinking about it. So we do this, we'll do like 50, 80 of them at a time so we can compare the answers. And we don't really release any information, so we know there's not going to be any real lying going on. So we do that, and then we take that, so like in this case we asked them, what's happening in a particular abduction, why are they doing a particular thing, and then they'll answer it, and then they'll come back and tell us. But I have to tell you, a lot of times there's repercussions for that. Sometimes
for asking questions?
Yeah, sometimes the aliens get really, sometimes they act like proud parents, like, all right, I can't believe you did that, and telepathic. And sometimes they get downright. I know they say the Greys don't have emotions, but from what I've told, they got some nasty emotions, and they get really, really, really hacked.
And that's what my friend said. If he starts, intervening in anything, I mean, he'll come back, bloody all over with, pinholes behind his ears and, up and down his back or through his arms, and I mean, there would be blood.
Yeah, they do believe in a reward and punishment program, for a lack of a better way of describing it, and it's a very strange thing, but. For us, all contactees serve a purpose for them, whether it's simply for experimentation or people like Katarina Wilson and a lot of the others, we call them spokespeople because they're long-term contactees, but they're also out there speaking every day. So there's probably about 20 of them like that the Greys or the humans or the reptilians actually want them out there speaking. Okay.
Well, Joe, I've got two questions. Well, one is just a comment. I suppose they look at us as like we would look at our pets.
Pretty much.
So Pavlov's dog thing would, that theory would hold true with humans as far as they're concerned. But the second is, have you seen any similarities between all of these people? Is there some common denominator as to why they would take them over and over and over again? Is there something that they all have in common?
Are they special?
The only thing that they really all have in common, besides that their family was probably abducted 6,000 years ago, is that they're born survivors. All contactees are born survivors. You could drop these suckers in the middle of a damn swamp and they would come out probably gaining weight. It is amazing to me to watch these people in general because most people don't understand, all right? They're a contactee. Most of them have families, husbands, wives, careers. A lot of them have very, are way up the ladder in careers. And the thing about it is they have to deal with everything that we all have to deal with, plus the contact by the aliens. And it tends to give them a very unique outlook on the world, and it tends to give them a lot of unique abilities. And one of the prerequisites for being an abductee is you have to be empathic, and most of them are empathic and telepathic. So, and I've watched them use it. I mean, empaths for business. Look, if you own your own company or something like that, and you're empathic, you've got an advantage over your competition.
Yeah.
When you walk into a meeting, you already know the feeling of that room before you get. And I've watched it personally. We've done experiments where we'll send somebody into a group, really, really, really mad, into a happy group, a bunch of people just sitting around laughing and cutting up. And we'll send this, within 2 minutes, everybody in the group is mad. But we've done it in reverse. Took a happy person, sent them with a bunch of, and they get happy. They're empathic, and they can sense and feel their emotions and other people's emotions, but they can also send emotions. So it gives them a very unique, and then a lot of them are just damn good telepaths. A lot of them are really good. But so they use these things in their everyday lives, and it gives them an advantage over a lot of people. You'd be surprised how many people in our organizations, or politicians, or doctors, or lawyers, or all holding key positions in different companies. We have a couple people that are way up the corporate ladder. We've got.
Wow.
I don't know what the thing is with lawyers. I think they just like to torture lawyers or something. I don't know what it is, but no, I'm not kidding. Because MUFON itself, I got a lot of friends over at MUFON, and they've got a bunch of lawyers in the organization, and we've got a bunch of lawyers. And I'm like, what is this with the lawyers? I'm like,
guilty.
You got to kind of wonder.
It's the reptilian
thing. To get tortured, it's them SOBs.
Careful, our owner, the radio station owner, is a lawyer.
Lawyers are great people.
Yeah.
Oh no,
we love lawyers.
By
the way, Bob Fitzsimmons is the best lawyer in the. No,
yes.
Some of my best friends are lawyers, but still, you got to wonder why they pick on them so much. And
well, they're getting ready in case some of these people decide to sue.
Well, my lawyer travels with me when I'm doing lectures, so that's a plus. My lawyer and my hypnotherapist travel with me.
There you go. Now, are you an abductee?
Actually, I'm a contactee, yeah. But I got to be honest with you. I didn't find out about it until way late in life, and even today, I still have issues with it. I got to be honest with you.
No.
I was sitting down one night doing a report on somebody, and I was just checking off the report and the different criteria, and I'm like, that sounds familiar. And I'm like, son of a. And then I'm like, damn. And then the further I got into this list, the more I was like, uh-oh, what's going on here? So I actually brought in some friends and let them do an investigation. Walt Anders actually did the investigation on me originally.
Yeah.
14 years ago, in an experience that happened to us in Gulf Breeze, Florida. And he was just literally amazed by what had happened. And there was a lot of witnesses to it, which was a very interesting thing. We were actually picked up by the Greys on the beach in Florida along with 5 military people while there was more than 75 people on the beach when it happened. And it was a very strange phenomenon itself, but there was a lot of witnesses to the whole thing. And today, even today, it's still considered one of the better cases in ufology because of the amount of witnesses. There's been 3 times where we've had cases where people actually witnessed the abduction. Not non-abductees actually witnessed the abduction, which is, as far as I know, we're the only ones that's ever even gotten anything like that in our organization. So
now, is that something like? Here's my thought. Like, I live out in the woods, and I'm always thinking. Like, I heard a story when I was little about aliens.
Don't worry, if you live in the woods, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Okay.
No, go ahead, man.
Like that, somebody was driving and it looked like 3 little naked kids were out in a creek, and it was aliens and they were abducted. Mm-hmm. Now, every time I go out, because we have creeks all through our area, and every time I go to let my dog in at night, all I can think of is there being like 3 little creatures, hanging out just past like the light that are just going to grab me. Like, if I see something, would I be like, am I going to get abducted that night? Would that be like, if I see them, if I witness them, are they coming after me?
Well, they might. Probably not. If you leave them alone, they probably won't. But I got to be honest with you, the majority of abduction cases happen in big cities. That's like 94% happen in big cities.
Really?
It's an old wives' tale about them being in the country, yeah.
Then what's up with West Virginia?
Well, I'd have to look on the map, but I can tell you the number 1 abduction city in the United States is New York City, followed closely by Los Angeles. And that's because they're the 2 largest populated cities in the country. Also, Miami's another hot spot. All of Florida, all 22 million people live in Florida. That's just a hot spot. Texas,
they're all in trouble.
But if you live in a big city, you're more likely to get abducted in a big city than you are out in a rural area, unless there happens to be a national park, a deep water channel, or a military facility, or all 3. One thing we found out a long, long time ago, UFOs tend to stay almost always by deep water channels. That's why the Gulf Coast has so many sightings. Up there by Puget Sound has so many sightings. Mm-hmm. All up and down the East Coast and all up and down the West Coast. About 90% of all the sightings that happen in the U.S. happen in those 5 areas.
Wow.
The one I saw was down in Florida.
Yeah, so, I mean, they prefer deep water, and I think that's because if they got a dart to get away real quick, all they got to do is zip into the water. And
do they have underground or underwater bases?
A lot of people say they do. Richard Sauter tells me all the time. So does Grant Cameron. He tells me all the time they got underwater bases. And matter of fact, Grant and them are telling me that they moved Area 51 to somewhere off the coast of Florida, but like I told him, I said, you're going to have to show me something to prove that to me.
Like the Abyss. That was the premise behind the Abyss.
Now, how do people get abducted? I mean, do they vanish? Is it a light beam? How does that really happen?
Depends on what. If you're a gray contactee, more than likely they're going to come in, and this is another old wives' tale, and this was because of Whitley Strieber, but most people think you get abducted at night. In all fairness, about 30% of abductions happen at night. 70% happen at day. Usually, they like to abduct you when you're doing mundane things because it's easier to do the memory loop. So, like you drive to work or you drive home. That's when they like to pick you up because they can just loop your memory from previous days, and as far as you're concerned, you just were driving to work.
It's like Betty and Barney Hill.
Yeah, well, Betty and Barney Hill, they really messed that case up. And I corrected it on Coast to Coast 2 years ago, but I'll be finishing it at the D.C. conference this year. But Betty and Barney Hill are actually abductees, but they were abducted in Canada. What happened in the United States was a military abduction. That was not an alien abduction.
And you mentioned mill labs before. Mm-hmm. Now, what exactly, can you give us a little bit of a...
Well, Melinda Leslie and Randy and them like to call them rehabs, and it's really a better term. Re-abducted is what it means. Military, because military is a bad term, and the fact that we know there's a rogue organization working for the government that re-abducts contactees for the explicit reasons of reverse engineering the contactee. We know that. We just don't know who it is. We don't think it's like Obama's government, and we're pretty sure it's not the military itself. But somewhere in there, between Obama's government and the military, there's an organization that does this on a regular basis, and all they're looking for ways to get technology to check on empathic abilities, things along those lines like that. I mean, or what's happened to you in the ship. They're fishing for information because I got to be honest with you, the government doesn't know much more than the rest of us do.
Yeah. Real quick.
Well, I was just wondering that we had a guest on, I don't know, 3 weeks ago about that mile under the ground thing.
Norio Hayakawa.
Yeah, in New Mexico.
Dulce base.
Yeah, is there any validity to that? And could that be this missing?
That is the most argued about thing in ufology right now. Right now it's split. Half of us say no, half of us say yeah.
Which half are you in?
I'm in a no half because I haven't seen. I got to be honest with y'all. I'm a little different than most ufologists. I prefer to see more hands-on type evidence. In other words, word of mouth isn't going to do it for me. Like when we used to do UFO research, we actually mapped everything out. With abduction research, we set up criteria and we do comparison studies from one abductee to the next, to the next, to the next, and we don't release the information so we have it for ourselves. So we're looking for something much more tangible. They're telling me in Dulce that there's this 1 mile tall base, something like 500 different floors spread out like 15 miles underground. And it's not that I don't think our government can build it. I honestly do. I think they could build it easily. I mean, I've been in a few underground facilities in the United States when I was in the Navy, and they've got some huge ones. But I haven't seen anything. There's no pictures that suggest any type of ventilation systems anywhere in the area. There's no roads in or out. There's no heavy debris piles that have been put anywhere. I mean, there's just no physical evidence to suggest that anything was ever built there. Or for that matter, I haven't found any tangible military, and I've got quite a few people in the military that work for us. All of them tell me that they have underground facilities out there, just not that one.
Well, yeah. Where are they going to put all that dirt? It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, and see, that's the funny part. In the old days, they used to have to dig the dirt out. Now they have a thing that actually turns the dirt, mixes it with the stuff, and makes concrete out of it. So it doesn't have to be brought out anymore. But
oh man,
when this base was supposedly built, they still had to bring the dirt out to the surface. And you're talking a base that big. Come on, you could have built a mountain.
Yeah,
the dirt you had from there.
Well, and I'm not buying this argument, too, that our government has come up with, some type of an agreement with these people or...
aliens.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I can't buy that one either. I know there was meetings. I do know there was meetings with one president in them, but bottom line is they're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Are you going to share that president's name?
It was Truman, actually.
Yeah. Poor Harry.
And,
he seemed to get caught in the middle of a bunch of stuff.
He's the only one that there's actually a paper trail that says this. And it's a very slight paper trail, to be honest with you, but there is a paper trail that puts him in the same position as a saucer that was landed on a military base at the exact same time. The saucer and the president were on the same base at the same time. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good shot that they met. But bottom line is nothing really came out of it. E.T. probably said, well, we'll give you a little bit of something while we're abducting these people, but if you interfere, we're going to just slap you back in the next month anyway. So,
my favorite term.
Well, it's like the Roswell. I get in trouble for Roswell all the time because I know the Greys can come in, take your whole car if they want. They take your whole damn house if they want to. So I always had an issue. Why did they leave us a flying saucer? It'd be like us leaving an F-22 or an F-35 to the Russians or the Chinese.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? So, for a long time I was like, I'm just not buying this saucer crash. For me, more than likely, because there was two sets of bodies and two crash sites, more than likely what happened is we were given a saucer, we were flying it, we crashed the damn thing. That's why there was the saucer that crashed right there at the ranch with the four bodies, and then the escape pod that crashed in where was that? In, I can't remember that little town, but that crashed over there, and there was three bodies. So because there was a set of bodies they said that looked like Greys. But there was a set of bodies they said that looked like humans that kind of had a pinkish red, like they'd been contaminated by radiation. And the thing of it is, and I said that made more sense to me. Or, like Gildas Burgess told me, maybe at the outside chance it was like a cargo ship or a shuttle or some kind, something that the Greys weren't real worried about losing. But I can't see them letting us have a full-blown saucer. I just, not without some kind of guidance or something. I just can't see that. So, and I can't see him just leaving it. And every time I see Ryan Wood and he tells me about these 100-and-something crashes, the first thing out of my mouth is every time is, Jesus, E.T.'s got a worse flight record than the FAA does. I'm thinking, come on, So, like I said, I'm a little bit harder on you, and I do catch trouble for it because, I'm
it's like saying, they have all this technology, they can do all this stuff, but they're, like, incompetent.
Yeah, and that's what it's saying, Well, they're morons, basically.
They don't know how to fly. They got here, from however far they were.
Yeah, they can shut down nuclear bases on a regular basis, and we know they've done it in the United States and Russia in the 70s, but yet they crash and let us have this. No, come on.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I need something better than that. And you know, like I said, if we have any technology from them, it was given to us.
Now, you mentioned the D.C. conference coming up. That's X conference, correct?
Yeah, it's 2009 X conference.
Now, you're going to be doing a lecture, and you're on one of the panels.
Yeah.
And you're doing a lecture on the mill labs, correct?
Yeah, I'll be doing a correction on the Betty and Barney Hill. The first half of the lecture, and the second half of the lecture is all mill labs.
Okay.
And it's all going to be about mill labs. So we tell everybody thinks I'm crazy for doing a mill lab thing in D.C., but.
Now, if you're taken, we know that it probably wasn't the UFO.
Yeah.
I tell you what, last time we went to the X conference, we were coming home through West Virginia, going through all these tunnels in these mountains, and the damnedest thing, there was 4 of us. We're driving along about 80 miles an hour going through this tunnel, headed east, right? We come out the other tunnel, and there's witnesses this going west. Now, as far as we know, nothing happened. But when we came out the tunnel, when we went in the tunnel, we was headed east. When we came out the tunnel, we was headed west.
That's just a West Virginia tunnel, that's all. You don't have to worry about that.
I actually called and asked. I wanted to know if maybe they screwed up the signage or something, or if they because hey, look,
a lot of company was working on it, and that's just what happens.
I just figured something went awry, but then it was really weird. Later on that day, 2 of the people that were with us got into this, and these were really good friends, got into this really nasty fight, and still hasn't really spoke since. And I was like, then they started having these weird military abduction dreams. I'm like, oh Lord, but I don't remember anything. So, and I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, wow. He's like, I do not want to get hypnosis.
That was just the weirdest thing. Now, even today when I think about it, I'm like, what the hell?
And where was this close? I mean, where exactly in West Virginia were you?
You know, I don't know. We were somewhere. We'd been driving. We had left D.C. We'd been driving for 6 or 8 hours, and
it had to be somewhere down around Beckley.
Yeah,
and there's like
where
a
the
group
tunnels.
of these tunnels. There's there's like a group of them. You know, it's like one, then another, then another, and we'd already gone through one. And it was just weird. I mean, we was right on course, compass work and everything going, and making good time. And the next thing I knew, we was going the wrong way. And I was like, okay, what the hell just happened?
Well, we just had a tunnel deal here where it took 2 years to clean up one side.
And it still leaks
and
and
it's
looks
still
bad.
So
they couldn't figure out how to glue the tile back on the wall.
That's why I said Velada Company was probably working on it, and that's how you ended up going west after you went in going east.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, what is going on here? But I don't know. That whole thing was strange.
I apologize for my state.
Here's a here's a question.
It's a beautiful state.
Oh, it is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Now, you said you were with a bunch of people when this happened.
Yeah.
Like, is it normal that people will get abducted in groups?
It is when you're with us.
Yeah, remind me not to do a road trip.
It's we tell people tell me, like they'll call my show and MF me this and the other thing. And I say, look. I said, I'll tell you what, come spend a week with me down in Gulf Breeze, and if you're not satisfied, I'll bring you to the show and you can gripe air your problems. Well, only 3 people ever took me off on it. None of them speak to me anymore about it. And actually, because I brought one with me, we jokingly call them surfing aliens. And it was such a wild night. It was like 15, 18 of us. And we'd all drove down, left New Orleans, had a big group of people from around the country come down. And we all drove down there. We're sitting on the beach, and I said, I tell you what, guys, I got this weird feeling that something's going on. Well, we were sitting in this crowd in the middle, and there was like couples on each side of us laying there doing whatever you do in the night in the beach in Pensacola, and it's a beautiful place. And all of a sudden, this one girl says, Jerry, you see that? And you could see something gray looking like it was sitting on a wave. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, then I looked around to make sure we weren't drinking or anything, because it was really weird. Well, these things, it looks, and I swear I don't know what this was, but it looks like they were hovering right above the wave, following the wave up to the beach, and taking the people. We witnessed them taking, I think it was like 14 or 15 couples that night. We watched the entire thing from picking them up to taking them out to the ship and bringing them back later on that night. Watched everything. And it was very well documented by a bunch of us. And the really weird part was, all this is going on. Everybody's a little weirded out to start off with, because we're watching these gray things on the beach with us. And for some reason, one of the grays must have caught us out the corner of his eye. I mean, I know they knew we were there, but it must have startled him out of the corner of his eye, so he started coming towards the crowd. You have never seen this many people move that fast. Before I even could blink, they was back in the truck. They was in locked up.
Wow.
I'm like, that's not going to keep them from getting you guys if that's what they want to do. But yeah, there was a big crowd there that night, and it was that's about the 5th or 6th time we've had a crowd down there. I know there was there was a crowd down there tonight.
Well, Lola wants to go next time.
Matter of fact, there's a fishing pier down there. All unsolved. We were down with unsolved mysteries. Oh, this was a long time ago, but there was a bunch. It was about 400 people out on the fishing pier, including the mayor and the police chief of Gulf Breeze and some other people. And we're all sitting there this night watching just watching the skies when somebody hollered about some green thing under the water, about 200 yards out from the fishing pier. We watched this green glowing light. It came under the bridge, went underneath the twin span, went out underneath the railroad track, and then raised up out of the water. It looked like a big silvery sphere with this gold stuff dripping off the bottom. Unsolved Mysteries was filming it, so I don't even know where it came from. I know they did an episode about it. And everybody's flashing cameras and pictures and every other thing, and it just sat there for a few minutes and just shot straight up and was gone. And I mean, like I said, it was at least 400 people for that sighting.
Wow.
And you know, see, that's what people don't understand. I mean, like Mexico City sighting, more than 1 million people seen it that day. So I think there was like something like 10,000 photographs and video clips from the Mexico City sighting. Now, evidence like that is hard to get around, you know.
Now, do you get many stories where, like I was talking about the gentleman earlier, he says, he moved, across the country, and decided to join a meeting group, where people can sit and talk about their abductions or whatever.
Good thing, yeah.
And he said he knew everybody in there as soon as he walked in. He recognized everybody. Everybody he met were people that he's been abducted with since he was a little kid, and knew their names. He knew, details of their life. Is that a common thing?
Yeah, it's quite common. It's also quite common to find contactees marrying each other these days. They'll find each other on the ship, and one day, 20 years down the line, they'll run into each other in person somewhere, and they're madly in love. And what's weird about them is they're usually married to somebody else. They'll get divorced, remarry, and stay married to this individual. And sometimes they'll have kids, sometimes they won't. But it's a really weird phenomenon. But it's we get them all the time where people come in and describe people they've seen. They'll draw them what they were wearing and stuff, their hair color, their eyes, faces, and all of a sudden one day there's the person. And it's really weird, but that's because they abduct in groups. And usually when you're on board your ship, there's a couple of hundred to a couple of thousand contactees present. And a lot of times you'll be sitting in what we lovingly call the green room. It's the star room is what it really is, but we call it the green room because of the TV shows and stuff. But basically, there's a room they put you in. You sit there. While you're in there, really all you see is like a starscape. I don't know if it's real or if it's fake or what it is, or if it's a hologram or what it is. But I guess it's to keep you relaxed and calm while you're waiting your turn.
Now, this is something that you remember personally, right?
Oh, I've seen that personally, but we've got literally about 1,500 reports of this. So.
Now, what happens to you? I mean, if we can get kind of personal there for a minute. What happens, like, walk us through, what do they do to you now that, you're at the age where you do remember what's going on?
Well, see, I'm not your typical contactee because I'm a butt and I cause trouble for myself. Well, I'll give you an example. I was at the casino when I shouldn't even tell you. I was at the casino gambling one night. Been drinking 10, 15 White Russians. So I had a pretty good buzz going.
Yeah.
We're coming home, right? And we're driving. So I said, let's go run by the NASA Stennis facility and see if we can get the Grays up and about because they got this little thing they do out there. And let's see if we can get them going. Well, I'm standing out here now. You got to picture me. It's like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm smashed. I got a 9mm in my hand. I'm like, just come on out and visit for a little while. Right? So but nobody would come out. So I finally started saying, well, I'll go put the gun down. They wrote a song about this matter of fact. And I went and put the gun back in the car. And these little SOBs come out of the woods, and when they did, and there was my wife and 2 other people in the car, everybody liked to freak because they move so weird. It's hard to explain, but they can go up the walls, ceilings, and they just, for being little bitty Grays, they are very strong. I'm a 250-pound guy, about 5'11", big old arms, big old legs. I was in the military, do construction for a living, and they drag me around like I'm just a wet sock, so... But they come out the woods. I'm having this fit with them because I really wanted some answers.
Now, you said I was safe in the woods.
Well, just by NASA, remember.
But don't go flashing a gun at them, that's all.
Well, actually, they wouldn't come out the woods when I had the gun. They do this weird clicking sound. It sounds like a dolphin almost. And I kept hearing it, and that's what was making me mad because I knew they were close, and everybody was with us knew they were close. And I was just having fits about it, and when I went and put the gun out, they finally came out, and when they did,
Oh, I think we lost him.
No, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
I just heard breaks. I shut up.
No,
No, you could. Our phones are haunted, and so you can kind of hear what's going on.
It's when I hear the word, the B word, I'm instantly quiet.
He was quiet, and you're trained.
No, we just got a few minutes left, so.
Yeah, no, I know how those go. But no, to make a long story short, they came out the woods. And basically each one got me on one side of the arm. One kind of put his, I like to call it the Vulcan neck pinch, for lack of a better word. But he puts these two fingers on the back side of your neck, and when it does, you just kind of go limp. Like when you grab your dog or your cat by the scruff, and they just kind of, it's the same basic principle. And you just go kind of limp, and they take it. Those mostly have to do with, when they take you in those kind of cases, it's more about programming and downloads than it is anything else. They'll do, like I like to call, a brief checkup to see how you are physically, mentally, but they're usually instilling information, checking on what you've been doing. And since I have such a big mouth and talk about them all the time, they, I guess they're interested or not interested in what I'm saying. I'm not sure, but they do ask a lot of questions about that. But it's so weird because it's not like a voice in your head, and it's not like images. It's really hard to explain.
Now, do you fly around and you get to see the galaxy? Or
I haven't. Now, I've been on board the ships on several occasions, and a couple of people told us we were in space because you could see the stars, but I'm still skeptical about that. I'm thinking that star room is like a hologram or something. I really don't think, because there's too many stars. It's like you're immersed. There's so many stars. It's like you're immersed in the stars.
Oh, wow.
I've looked at some beautiful skies in the high desert and a lot of other, and I've never seen stars like that ever. So I'm taking issue with that, but it may or may not be that we're in space. I'm really thinking it's more like we're on the ground or in a facility, and they're doing things, because we've noticed that a lot of times you'll see these weird shaped clouds. A lot of times it's a gray ship. It's just kind of hovering in the cloud, moving along. That's why you see them picking up water a lot of times.
Wow. Well, that is all the time we got. Joe?
No problem.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, this has been great.
I know. I don't want him to stop.
I know.
We're going to have you back on.
Sure, anytime.
Because we want to get more into this, because I'm fascinated. I know Lola's sitting there with her mouth dropped.
And I admit, when we announced, when I was talking about it earlier, too, it was like, oh, no, is this somebody with a tinfoil hat on their head,
But let me tell you, I've loved this, and I want to do it again. We're going to keep in touch with you, and we're going to have you back on the show to listen to this.
You're going to be at the X Conference April 17th through the 19th, correct?
Yep.
Okay, that's Hotel Gaithersburg.
Yeah.
Your website, icar1.com, and UFO Undercover. We have it all linked up on our website, so it's been a delight.
I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, thank you very much, Joe. And we'll be in contact with you with the with your radio show. We got to go, top of the hour break. Thank you very much, Joe Montaldo, and we'll talk to you later. Time for us to take a break here on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. Sorry,
There we go.
Welcome back to Whispers, everybody.
Sammy, we need to get out of here.
I'm Jordan Klein here with Nick Queen, Lola Miller, and we are now joined with Mr. Sammy the Bull. Is his mic on?
Oh, wait a minute. What color are you?
Green.
He's green.
Green.
I heard a lot of howling. I had to come in here.
I don't know, Lola.
Well, Miss Paula should be calling us.
We got the stem sticks out, hitting Jordan to keep him in his corner.
I got to share this. Somebody wrote in the chat room. It's another guy who's going through the rabies shots. He wrote, "I'm really offended by so many people being so insensitive," all caps, "about the people who suffer from rabies. We don't choose to live this way. We deserve respect."
I'm filled with compassion for y'all, and I just hope I have enough stock in Schick and Gillette when the hair really starts coming out.
When it was the full moon, like
the other night,
my stepmom calls me going, and that was the whole message.
The sad thing is, you understood what she said.
I called her back.
How dare you talk to me that way?
She was like, "That's exactly what I wanted you to do. How'd that work?"
Yeah, we were playing Loaded Questions Easter night, and Jordan starts going off on me and several other people yelling at us, and I just turn around to him. I was like, "Shut up, Captain Rabies." and he got offended really badly. He did shut up, though.
I didn't get
But you
offended.
are offensive, Nick.
I try not to be. I try not to be.
I put my tail between my legs and I whip it off.
You don't understand how I get teased all the time by him.
What?
I don't believe that for an
Lola,
instant. I know
do you see
it.
this face?
Yes. Could that
Put
face be
put the
mean?
fangs back in.
Not a mean bone in this body.
We usually make each other cry. We should stop.
This is, Sammy, I'm telling you, I can't wait for the pen because they are so convinced that we are going to be the weenies. I'm telling you, we are going to watch these two whine and cry like little girls. They'll probably be like crawling up the gated fence. Let me out.
Do they lock the front door?
Oh,
so we
see,
can't leave?
already. Yeah, you're locked in. You can't get out.
Could
And
be
we've
a
been
lot
there.
of
We
fun.
do have the little bit of the at least the experience of going in. So
Yeah, but I'm not thinking
trying
that
to pep us up.
experience
See,
is
but
going to be
here's-
any
we've
here's
been there
good.
before. They didn't get us last time. They won't get us this
Here's
time.
what's funny. We haven't done an investigation since I think we've done like one since we started, the radio show. And Nick, it was like 11 o'clock at night. Nick is just, when Nick gets tired, it's done.
Then everybody has. He
start
takes
slurring.
his ball, and everybody has to go home.
You know when Nick doesn't have anything left in him. And I was like, man, you need to man up because we'd just be getting started.
Yeah, you best take a
We'd
nap.
just be driving
that day.
in.
We'll be driving
Takes
there.
his little
Nick's
tape
like, all
recorder
right,
home
I'm
with
done.
him.
What time do we have to
Curl
be
up in the
there?
corner.
I believe it's 11 o'clock, Nick.
11:30. Right? Didn't last time I think we got there about 11:30. When we go, you're going to be
bedtime.
dropping off some stuff. Yeah, I know. You're going to be
But
dropping
just
off some
think
stuff.
you're
Make
on
sure
the
for certain.
night shift.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's and the thing is you do get in there and
You won't
with-
even think about sleep because
it's-
the adrenaline's pumping like
yeah.
crazy.
So, but now getting there beforehand, it's kind of like you're drinking. I mean, as much caffeine as you can
yeah.
get. You're thinking I'll never make it, but then once you get there and you start kind of exploring,
And everybody else is there. I mean, it's it'll be exciting.
But
I
it
am
is coming down to the wire, though. We have to actually pay it. I think Friday we said.
Yeah, Friday.
Adding up, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so,
getting there.
Barb, if you are listening, I know she gave me a date. Nick, I'm sure she did.
I think I remember now.
I think it's probably Friday.
Yeah.
I tried calling. I couldn't get a hold of her.
Well, but Barb, you need to make sure you get that money in by the
we have
weekend
a waiting
because
list
otherwise,
still, and we've already opened up one spot to someone else, so we have someone else coming that's now. So we have, I don't want to give away the seats. I'd love for them to come. So
I know it. I know.
it's going to be a lot of fun.
But
It'll be legendary.
Janie brought me a headlamp thing, and a flashlight and extra batteries. And I think I heard somebody, I don't know what guest it was, saying something about music. Me personally, I don't want to antagonize them. I am not going to go in and call them names and try and get them angry because I don't want evil spirits angry
This
at
is
me.
not somewhere you want to make anybody angry.
Was that
that's-
Barry Fitzgerald?
Yeah,
I think-
Larry
Talking about the
Fitzgerald's
music, taking
Yes.
music in.
And I was thinking, I just need to do a little bit of investigation, see what type of music was perhaps really popular back then, when most of the bad guys would have been locked up in there, and, take a little old-fashioned Walkman and maybe play some older music and see if I can't get one of them to karaoke with me.
I think it would be great. Like, just go down the hall and blare, the music, just for a few minutes. Cut it off and start your recorders, and just see what you get.
Yeah, because they might be really mad because you turned the music off.
Strong energy right there. That'd be interesting.
It'd be interesting. You know where
Yeah.
it'd be the best place to try that? Maybe the Sugar Shack. That was
Yeah.
where they had the
It's a
indoor
rec room.
activity rec room. So they possibly could have been playing music, in that area
Yeah.
at the time. So it'd be interesting. Now you had when I was remembering this the other day, when the last time we were there, you went past the Sugar Shack, and there's something that I've never been because I was in another group, and you and 3 or 4 other people went past it in a room, and you had some experiences in that area. Remember, I think somebody's camera would not work anymore.
Yeah, it was.
You remember now?
Yeah.
I was just remembering this the other day.
It was right into the Sugar Shack. I think that's where they had classrooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just way down this long hall. And I remember when we first, when I was filming a little indie flick, and I was allowed to film at the pen.
Uh-huh.
And a guy was taking us down through a little tour just because they were working on it and they were bored and he wanted something to do.
Yeah.
And he always said, paranormal people love this hallway every time. And I think this was even before we even got into doing ghost hunts and stuff. And, what an opportunity, So when we started doing the investigations, the last one we went on, I found the hallway. I went down because if doors are unlocked, you're allowed in.
Okay.
I think the one time we went, the doors were locked. They were setting up for their haunted house. So there was no entry that way.
Yeah.
Well, this time it was unlocked. So we went down and we got through this hallway. I mean, you're going back. It's really long. There's rooms. There's all cameras stopped working. The EMF meters were going.
And this
off.
was an expensive camera. He'd had it for a long time. It never worked. Not worked for him. It had worked the entire night. I was with him most of the night. He was taking pictures like crazy. I mean, it was working like a champ, and it just stopped working. I mean, it was crazy.
Now, here's another question. Taking photos. You certainly don't want to flash. You do want to flash.
You want to flash. You just got to watch out because you will get. There's a lot of dust, so you'll get a lot of pictures with orbs. So you really got to be.
Especially because so many people are going to be walking through. You got to make sure you're settled. Especially, I don't know. May's not going to be as cool, but just in case, before you take it, breathe in and make sure everybody's not breathing. That way, you have no chance of the breath.
Condensation.
Yeah, anything. I mean, you want to try to eliminate as much as possible.
And we're going to do a quick class. We're hoping, and we've talked to everybody. Bring your flashlights. Try to bring some kind of recorder. If you get a little
digital.
tape.
We've got a digital
you
here.
can do a tape recorder. You can do a digital recorder. Either
I've
will
heard
work.
digital is better.
Digital is better. Yeah.
I've talked to people though that like the tape recorder because it gives us a little bit of white noise. Because you put it in there, and then of course you have the gears working and stuff.
Yeah.
And supposedly that little bit of white noise, they can use that to, form something. I personally say it's more than I might have to remove later.
Well, I have Audition on which is the program we use.
That's what I use to record the show. It's great.
Well,
so
that's
you're all set up and ready to go.
To play it back on.
Yeah.
Because I think I'll take my
fun.
laptop, so that we can download it right away and listen if we think something's happened.
The first one we ever got, we had it on the digital recorder, and I recorded it, and I'm playing back listening like this, and it was just one of those, the tingle down my spine, what the heck was that?
Because Nick and I started very skeptical.
Yeah,
very skeptical.
We were laughing at people. It was funny.
We were making fun of people there, and then when it happened, we were like, "Okay, changed our minds. Let's go." Okay.
Jordan, I can see you being really not you, Nick, because you're so into this UFO stuff and all of these other things that I find even more difficult to believe in than I do in spirits.
This thing with spirits is I've always been told they can't come back, and more of a religious thing than anything else. And I don't know if my question now is, what exactly are they? I'm still leaning towards, demons. Even what Barry Fitzgerald was talking about, kind of, what are? That's the question. What are they? Are they masking themselves as people, or are they actually people?
But something's there.
Something's there, no matter what. Yeah,
you can't say that there's nothing there, whether you believe ghosts exist, whether you believe that demons exist. Whatever you want to call it, there's something there because somebody's talking back to you.
Yeah.
And Lola, I have recordings that I'll break out one time to show you.
That you've done, or that you've just
we've
heard?
done.
Well, I know that one I've heard.
Yeah.
From up the street.
Yeah. No names.
Well, I didn't say anything.
I know. I'm just saying no names. Yeah. I'm not saying. I trust you. But yeah, that was crazy up the street. It was. And
I've heard those.
If you ever get a chance to go into something like that, I mean, it's hard. You hear it. Hear it's one thing. To actually be there when it's happening.
Yeah.
I really do think that whatever is out there has to draw from energy that's around you. And we're the ones that are there. We're having the most energy, at that point. And it drain. Weren't you just tired after that?
And that's why your flashlight batteries drain.
That's why the camera stopped.
That's why camera stopped, because if something's going to manifest, it's going to suck in all the energy that's around it.
Yeah.
And it's going to use it to do whatever it needs to do. So if it's just going to be a voice, how much power does it take for some kind of spirit entity to be audible in any way? You don't know that.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that because none of us are spirits. How are you going to measure that? So it's sucking in as much energy as it needs to go out. If we see a shadow man or something at the pen. If we, hear a voice, down a hallway. Your batteries are where the energy's coming from. You yourself,
the air around it. That's why you get a cold spot.
You're gonna get the cold spots, the hot spots. Your body's gonna get weaker. You're gonna feel it, and that's how you know that the spirit energy's coming.
All right, now I talked to Frank O'Brien. He was on with me and Bill. He's been on with me and Steve too. But the last time he was on with Bill and
who's Frank O'Brien?
Frank O'Brien's from the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Okay.
So he's very instrumental in the buying of the Capitol.
Sure.
And the opening of it. And I mentioned about the stories that we have heard about the Capitol being so haunted, and a lot of people have said that it is. Well, he is completely open to us going in there. I was thinking of Sherry. Is that her name?
Sherry Break-Recca, yeah.
Because she can talk to them, or anybody like that. But he's completely open to it because it would open up another whole avenue of tourism if we can actually get some evidence, so to speak, of ghosts being there, and kind of then, get backstories on who it could possibly be. I mean, it would be a great selling point. It would just be another avenue for tourism. And so now that they own it,
anything they can do to get the money in
there.
And that was when the reason we went to the prison the first time was because, and I've told this before, I was doing I was in a tourism class, history of tourism, researching ghost, paranormal tourism, and, places like Liverpool, you'd think Liverpool, their main draw is
England?
The Beatles. Well, the Beatles come from Liverpool.
I didn't know if you
were
thinking
one of
Ohio.
their other draw is something they call Shiverpool. There's a lot of ghosts that happen, in Liverpool, and that's probably their second biggest draw. All these old buildings and all these stories that come out. They have ghost tourism all through the city. Sherry, she stays busy. She said it's a year-round business for her, constantly doing ghost tours. There's so many buildings around here that have to have.
I know it.
Even
that's
if they.
What I'm thinking.
Now this is going to sound really. I don't know how it's going to sound. It's going to sound probably bad. Even if there's no stories of it, just a chance of actually going in and discovering something.
Oh, I know.
You could open up any building as long as it's safe for someone to go into, One of the stories I remember even talking about, you could do, and Sherry does, like walks through cities. There are ghost stories, and I'm not sure which bridge it is, of, people seeing ghosts on this bridge where someone fell off and died, and that ghost is still there lingering around the bridge. Stuff like that would just, and you tie in the history of the town.
Well, look, Wheeling's an old city.
Exactly.
I've been wanting to get somebody in my house. My house is really, really old, and I can't imagine that there isn't
Just ask, baby. Just ask.
No, she wants somebody other than us in her house. She already has enough weird things going on. Why would she invite two more weirdos?
I should just set up a tape recorder in there one night.
Yeah, and it's that simple.
Yeah.
And people don't believe that it's that simple. There's no special equipment that Nick and I use. Like, I have a expensive video camera. That's just because I like making little indie films and stuff.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with, the ghost hunting, stuff like that. You can use a regular, camcorder. You can use your digital Kodak camera. You can use your little tape recorders, and that's all you really need.
If you really want to get an EMF detector, you can find one of those
for like $15.
You can find under $50 for a nice one. Yeah, look up EMF detector right now.
Look on eBay. It's covered.
You do not have to spend over. I think we have an expensive one, but that was that
was a gift from somebody.
That was a gift from somebody. So
got scared to death at an investigation and never returned and left his equipment.
Well, I don't know then that's actually a gift, but it's more like finders keepers.
He won't return phone calls. So.
EMF. That's all I have to put in.
EMF detector,
electromagnetic field detector.
And at that point, you're getting into a little more of the high end stuff. But
well, this is on eBay.
You're on eBay.
Yeah, paranormal taps ghost meter, $39.95.
Yeah, and I would be careful sometimes on eBay. A really good site to buy stuff that's really reasonable is ghostvillage.com. They have a ghost hunters mart, like I guess it would be a shop on there. Ghostvillage.com, and I'm hoping I'm getting that right.
Yeah.
And if you want to get started, I mean, they have the voice recorders there. You can get the voice recorder if you're going. And, this is kind of what we're talking about. If you're going to go out and buy voice recorders.
Paula's joined us now.
Okay. She want to talk to us?
She's out there.
Hey, are you there?
Hi, Paula.
Hey, I'm
She
here.
does want to talk to us. I feel happy.
You're always happy.
I try to be.
What's up, Paula?
Well, it's off subject, I think. But your experience, let me turn the radio off. If somebody has lost somebody tragically, and they're thinking about them, and like out of nowhere, like a green orb appears in front of them, and then just kind of like zips off and disappears. What's your take on that?
The aliens are coming to get you.
Now, are we talking in a photograph? Or are we talking?
No, driving.
So I mean, plain as day, you see.
You
could
You
be
just went right past the
Really
driving.
good LSD.
No. Now, personally, I am very strong in my faith.
Yes.
And I believe that, once somebody passes, they're not with us anymore. That's my personal belief.
Okay.
How do I want to say it? When, something like that happens, it could be, something heavenly, sending a message of comfort.
That's what I'm hoping.
It could be something unheavenly trying to trick you and cause confusion.
Well, I think
It
don't
could be swamp gas.
It could be swamp gas. It's either it's a give or take type of thing. Now, I know that my mom, whose sister is no longer with us, she said that she was really thinking about her one day, and heard a noise, went downstairs, and the TV was on some religious channel.
Wow.
And that was just out of the blue, out of nowhere, and that meant something to her.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if I was investigating, I mean, because trying to keep it as, I guess, scientific as possible. First thing I'd ask, where exactly did it happen? And then if I go there, the first thing I'm looking for, I'm guessing it probably happened at night, correct?
No, not really. No.
No? Okay.
It was a neon green, and it just kind of was there, and it brought a peaceful feeling to her.
Sure. I mean, is this around any businesses, especially industrial type businesses?
It wasn't by San Francisco, was it?
No, not by San Francisco.
Was there some guy laying in the middle of the road?
Wow.
I'm sorry.
I mean, that's the kind of, because I would want to try to debunk it first. I mean, because, it's, but then again, if it brought comfort, sometimes that's all you need.
When we look at something as investigators, you look at it, you want to get rid of all doubt first and foremost. We're going to say, okay, it doesn't exist, it never happened, what could they have seen? And when we go into somebody's home, when we do something like that, we actually go through and try to recreate, what happened through different things going on in the, that anything that it could have been, we try to test it.
She was driving and thinking about her father who had taken his life, and it just brought her, I guess, comfort, knowing she thought that was him sending a message. And it was just this green orb, and like she got to see it for a few seconds, and then it just zipped away. And I just didn't know if that meant something, if the color green, neon green meant something.
Now, yeah, I mean, that could have been something that was significant to them. I mean, it could be some kind of, color from a spirit. You know what I mean? It's
not an exact science.
Yeah, this isn't. That's why, if any paranormal investigator worth their salt's not going to charge anybody for their services, because it's not an exact science.
You can't give a guarantee.
There's so many what ifs that we're only going to find out, when we die and ask the big guy herself.
And and of course, if you go into a house and it's a whatever you see is something that recurs on the anniversary of something. If it's only something that happens, especially if it's like a residual haunting. Sometimes it only happens at certain times of the year. Sometimes it only happens under certain conditions. that, once again, if it gave comfort, sometimes you just don't want to take it as past that. And if it happens over and over and over again, then it's something you can investigate and figure out.
No, that's the only time that I know of.
I mean, that could have been something heavenly coming down to give a peace, give peace,
Well, I hope so.
I love you
I'd like
kind of
to believe.
message.
Well, she may ask you some questions on the 22nd of May, whenever we see you.
Well, it will be grand
I always
times.
love hearing stories anyways.
Huh?
I said I love hearing the stories anyways. I mean, no matter what. I mean, because everybody has so many different, there's such a variety of things that happen out there that,
It's been such a complicated relationship.
Sure.
And it's just not been good. And I just think for her, I sound like a hillbilly, but for her, it just kind of was like, I'm still here, and yes, I know that I've left you, but it's okay, I'm still here.
Yeah, and it could be that, you know what I mean? It could be as simple as that. I believe God works in such strange ways that we're never going to understand it until we get,
right.
To heaven, or even after that, we still might not understand it all.
Right. Well, the fact that it brought her some comfort and didn't scare her meant a lot to me. I mean, and her. But yeah, I just didn't know if the color meant something, if that was a typical color that people see.
Yeah, I haven't heard any stories like this.
Okay. Okay, well.
But I now have it documented in my brain file.
Okay.
And when I hear another, I can say, green.
Right. Yeah,
there might be something to this.
She's coming to the Pen Tour with me. So.
Okay, good.
And
are you excited about the Pen Tour?
I am. I'm excited. I'm scared, and I'm excited.
Do you got a tape recorder and stuff ready?
I have one. I haven't tested it to see if it's still working and everything. I got to probably go get a new micro cassette.
It's good.
I will do that for this.
One thing that we're going to do is we're going to hold just a little class, get everybody familiar with the equipment and how to use it and how to do things.
Okay.
That way, we're all kind of starting off on a basic ground level phase, so we can all start off and have a good journey together.
Okay. Well, I told my friends in Pittsburgh to bring their headgear and beware of bats.
Make sure they bring extra batteries.
Extra batteries.
You don't understand how much we go through so many batteries. I think our biggest expense, honestly, was batteries.
Really?
We would buy these huge packs of them.
And tapes for cameras.
Yeah, it was just, we'd go through so much stuff on batteries, especially, because, they do get drained like crazy.
See, I was going to bring my camcorder, but that battery, it just on a normal usage
Plug it in the wall?
Yeah, there's places you can plug it in.
You're stuck. You're stuck.
You know what?
I leave mine.
Yeah,
I tell people, I say my camera's going right here. If it's broken, it's going to be on camera. It'll be on the tape. Anybody who walks by it, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and if we put it. Where did we put it last time? Right at the cafeteria.
Yeah, right where they say they saw the Shadow Man. I just kind of barricaded it with chairs, so people are going to hit the chair before they're going to hit the tripod.
Okay. Yeah. Well, dumb question off the subject of what I was calling for, but
there is no dumb questions
when talking.
You know better.
When talking to the Whispers boys, there's no dumb questions.
What is the Sugar Shack?
The Sugar Shack is the underground.
It's an underground
You see
facility,
what happens? There's dumb
mile.
answerers, too.
Yeah.
It's the indoor gymnasium. It looks like it's kind of underground.
Yeah, it's like a rec room.
Like a basement type of thing.
It's a basement, yeah. It's the same level as the
But
boiler.
it's supposed to be where the most violent crimes. There was no murders there, but there were very violent crimes
Beatings,
that happened.
ups, and stabbings, and all that kind of stuff.
The best way to say it is that people were given sugar in the shack. I mean, that's you see what I'm saying.
There were sexual crimes.
Yeah, there were sexual crimes, that kind of thing.
I don't want to know that.
That's why they call it the Sugar Shack.
Well, you're a lady. Those were fellas.
Lady. Yeah, you don't know me a bit.
I know. Well, you got them fooled, don't you?
Yes, I do, darling.
So far.
Hey, my grandfather worked at the Penn, so I'm anxious to see if there's anything that, not that I'm going to see him there, but I'm just anxious, like what he may have experienced and everything.
Or to see if there's any connection, that they connect with you.
Yeah, well,
he
cool.
might. He might.
You never know. You never know. I'm excited, but yeah, I'm a little skittish. I told my friend to bring some holy water.
Put it in a spray gun.
I'm not Catholic, but I will take the holy water.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a religion when they're scared. So.
Yeah, there's no atheist in a foxhole.
Isn't that the truth? So so the green neon green orb doesn't really mean something in particular.
Not yet to me.
Okay.
And there might be if somebody out there is listening and they've experienced something like that, give us a call.
If it brought comfort instead of fear, I would think that was, some benevolent reason for being there.
Exactly.
Well, it was right after the funeral and everything, and she was driving alone, and she saw this, and she really thinks that was a way of trying to connect to her. And
could have been one last goodbye, one last I love you. You never know.
That's what I'm hoping.
Well, there's a lot of, since it was right after the funeral, there are a lot of cases of people appearing before they die and after death. They're called crisis apparitions. And a crisis apparition is something that occurs before and after that, before it happens is, kind of a, I hope you're okay, kind of to give comfort before they find out the news that something happened. Afterwards is the same thing to give comfort, for the death, kind of a last hurrah, so to speak. So if I had to classify it, I'd say it was a crisis apparition.
I hope so.
So same thing with phone calls too sometimes happen. So
what is it?
Phone calls. Sometimes people will receive phone calls.
Okay.
They'll get a
right
call.
after, before you even know they're dead.
Yeah, sometimes they'll get an hour afterwards or a couple of days afterwards. So falls into the same kind of category.
It's like, well, Billy called me yesterday at 10. It's like, well, he died, 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know when my grandmother passed, my sister-in-law and brother are just positive. She came. He was in. Am I there?
Yeah,
you're here.
Okay, I thought I got blasted. They were stationed in Guam, and the only great-grandchild was there with them, of course, and they are positive. Grandma made a trip and to see the great-grandbaby before she left. And the mom was like, she could not get out of bed. She heard the baby crying. She knew she needed to get up, but she could not force herself to get out of bed. And then right after that, my brother woke up, crying my grandmother's name.
Wow.
And it's pretty freaky.
That would be freaky.
Yeah, but it's a good thing, I think, to me, knowing that she wanted, before she left, that she wanted to see her great grandbaby.
Yeah.
One more time. So.
Wow.
So, well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Call back anytime. We love it.
Thank you. Or show up and just barge in.
Yeah, just show up.
Why not?
We love visitors.
Can I talk to Lowell for a second?
Yeah, if you want to.
I mean, if you want to.
It's up to you. It's your punishment.
All right. Thank you, Paula.
Shame on you.
Don't get her low.
All right. I was just looking on eBay, EMF detectors. They look like you can find them between 21 and up to the 90s. So most of them look to be between $20, $25, $30.
I'm always prejudiced against getting something off of eBay. There's a lot of shops out there that sell them. Like I mentioned, Ghost Village. There's a bunch of those out there. Just because you get some kind of a guarantee, whereas on eBay you don't.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying. So I love eBay, but sometimes you got to be careful.
I'm going to put you on hold, Paula.
Thanks, sugar.
Thanks, Paula.
Thanks, guys.
And, your recorders, I would say go to Circuit City. But
and I didn't get to finish what I was saying earlier. If you're looking at for a recorder, one of the things I would recommend, you're going to pay, what do you think, about $30 more for a USB? $20-$30.
Well, it depends on what you're wanting to do with it.
Yeah. Here's the reason I say, and let me explain myself before I go off on a tangent. On the side of it, you'll find. Welcome to the Nerd Zone. Sammy's laughing a little bit at us. I geeked out last week. You were here.
It was kind of sad. We should have put on like Star Trek uniforms.
I should have wore a Star Trek uniform. Is Sammy back on? Can Sammy come and play?
You did what last week?
I geeked out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bit the head off
I had
a chicken.
a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah. But USB on the side of the recorder, and I might even have one here, but you will find a USB where you can take it off, plug it into your computer. The reason I say it's easy is before that, the first recorder we brought with us, we had to hook up, using a patch cord to the computer, play it, record it into Adobe, then we could edit it. And, of course, then you're having to deal with making sure your levels are right so you're not getting it too loud. And it becomes a headache. We were getting, 6 hours of audio off? So we'd sit there and
It took a long time.
It took a long time. With these, you just plug them in, drag them off, or however, the Sonys have their own program. You can get the audio off, and it'll save it as a MP3, high quality. It's a lot easier, and it's going to save you time and headaches in the long run.
Now, if you're wanting to do more like paranormal tourism type things, as Nick calls it, if you're wanting to go into other places than the pen, just, let's say a little fire gets sparked in you, and that's something that you want to start doing, it'll be worth it to get the USB cable. If you're just doing it for tonight, or not tonight, just the night, and doing it the one time, it might not be worth anything to you to go,
sure.
And pay the $30 more. But, you'll still have it on the recorder. You'll still be able to get it on a computer if you need it, and, we can always help you.
Yeah, it's it makes it easy.
But if it's something that you're actually wanting to go out and do more of, which, there's a lot of people that do it. There's people that travel the circuits, I guess.
Well, when we were at the prison that first time for the paranormal or the ghost hunting 101, there was a couple there. They that weekend they were at the prison. The weekend before they were down in with Sherry at another place. I can't remember the name of it. The weekend after that, they were Mansfield. They were heading over to Eastern State Penitentiary near Philadelphia, and that's what they did. They were a retired couple. They traveled that's all they did was travel the ghost hauntings, and they loved it.
Yeah, who wouldn't? Right?
Yeah, So now, kind of just a little bit shift gears. I know you love Mothman, and there's a story in front of you that I know you probably want to talk about a little bit. The man bat.
Bum 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 bum. This is in Chihuahua. What country is that?
That's Mexico.
Is Chihuahua in Mexico?
It's in Mexico. It's actually a little bit south of. We got a caller?
Yes.
All right, who we got?
All right, this is Renee.
Hi, Renee.
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I was trying to type in, but I think I wrote too much because you know how I kind of run off the fingers there. But I want to talk about when I was very little. When I was about 3 years old, I remember very distinctly coming downstairs to the bathroom in our old house. We had this big old house we lived in. And I got down to the living room, and I looked over, and hovering above our couch was this gray guy that looked kind of like a Muppet, and he had big glassy eyes and a line for a mouth. He kind of looked like Grover, except he was real close, like his fur or whatever it was covering him was real close to his body.
Hmm.
And I stood there, and I looked at it, and it was talking to me in my head. Like it wasn't moving its mouth or anything, but it was talking to me. And I was answering its questions, and I'm not really sure how long this went on. And later I fell asleep, I guess, at some point and woke up in the bathroom. But I don't remember falling asleep. I don't remember walking into the bathroom. But
Now you said you were very young.
I was about 3.
3,
And now
okay.
here's the thing. After this happened, my mom told me that she would find me just talking a mile a minute to somebody. And she would ask me who I was talking to, and I would tell her Jesus. And, she thought that was nice. But now that I'm grown up, I realize that that's not really exactly the
Muppet was not Jesus. Is that what you're...
Yeah, pretty much something else was talking to me. And then another time, when I was from Reedsville before I lived up here in Wheeling, and the people that lived across the street from me told me the story about how one evening they were in bed and they heard this noise, this really big noise, and they went into their room, their infant baby's room, and they saw that something had pulled the French windows out from outside, and they went out and looked around, and there were a whole series of these 3 clawed marks into the wood siding of their house and all over the floor on the ground. And they could tell that something had pried the window open using those 3 claws. And at the time, people were talking a lot about seeing lights in the sky, like power plant. They have a power plant down there on the river, down on the Monongahela down there.
Uh-huh.
And different people had told me at different times that they had actually seen a ship and then tiny red and then green little ships that would come out and like probes or something would come out and look at the power plant, and they'd see them actually go back in the plant, into the UFO and fly away. And when this parent was telling me about this, she was crying. I mean, she was definitely freaked out completely, and she completely believed her story.
Wow.
Like, she completely believed that that had happened to them, and that if she hadn't got in there when they did, that the baby would have been taken.
Now, how long ago was this again?
It was back in the 70s.
70s? Yeah, there's been a lot of reports of UFOs, especially last week we were talking about the triangle UFOs a little bit. One of the questions we had. The triangle UFOs, and they would, these are the huge ones, the triangles usually are, and that they would let out the smaller, like you called them, probes, probe ships, smaller, landing ships or so forth.
Yeah.
There was actually a report a couple months back of one up near Steubenville that someone took some pictures of. I need to put that one on our website again. I think I'm going to add that to the forum when I get a chance to, either tonight or tomorrow night. He described it as there was the 3 dots, kind of like the triangle, and there was this crystalline type craft that was rising up towards it, and that it was absorbed into the ship, the bigger ship. He described it as being something the size of a couple football fields. It's a bigger one.
So it was like a mall parking lot.
The mall parking lot kind of ship that was
in
just
the sky.
In the sky.
Now, see, they never said anything about the shape to me. And I mean, we used to go down and hang out and wait, And I thought it was interesting that their story was always about the power plant. Because I was from Fairmont originally, and, we thought we saw things, and they were usually, balloons in the air or whatever.
Sure.
But the people that were telling me this, these were people that were older. Some of them times gave you somebody's house, and they'd tell their story about what they had seen. But they had all said the same thing, like they had seen, and there were different colored ones. Like there was, some that were red colored, some of them that were green colored. But they would see him come out of this huge, whatever it was. But they never said it was triangular shaped. They didn't really ever talk too much about that part of it. I think just the fact that they were seeing this.
Just enough that they were seeing it was making them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's. I think it's out there. I think there's something there.
Yeah. Well.
Thank you for sharing.
World. You're welcome.
It is.
And the show's been very interesting tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And you guys keep up the good work.
Well,
thanks.
very much,
Thanks for calling, Renee.
Bye, honey.
She called you honey.
That's because I'm sweet.
Got a date there, Abraham?
That's my landlord's wife.
Oh, I see. You're not supposed to tell that stuff.
I mean, that's my secret
Can
admirer.
we edit that out? Hit the buzzer quick.
Hit the button.
All righty. Do we have somebody else on the line? Or is
That's Paula.
Paula waiting on you?
No, she's just listening.
Oh. Hi, Paula. You're the only girl for me.
She just hung up.
What happened? No. All right. In Chihuahua, according to information supplied by the Francisco Pareto Torres, residents of La Junta Guerrero, which is Chihuahua,
Thank God
have reported
you're not Mexican.
Now, this is just so people know. This is south of New Mexico.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
No.
Mexico is south of New Mexico.
The state of Chihuahua.
That is why Nick went to college.
The state of Chihuahua is south of New Mexico.
Money well spent.
I'm just making sure.
8 years down your wife is grinning right now.
Yep.
She's not even listening.
They have reported the appearance of man-bat. Man-bat. Okay. They describe it as a very tall entity, standing some 2 meters tall, with two pairs of wings, one pair larger than the other. Now think back to Mothman, and I have to do this because
you love Point Pleasant.
Mothman is like the monster of West Virginia. I mean, there's like all kinds of different
Frank Ficino would argue it's Flatwoods.
But see, there was so much more people. There's hundreds of people that witnessed Mothman and 5 that witnessed Flatwoods.
Well, now, the thing I like about this story, and you'll get into this, the description of what happens kind of resembles what happens at Mothman. So, continue.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, but you think of Mothman,
Trying not to be offensive
if you
anymore.
remember what he looked like, he was a very tall, Harry had wings like a moth, which would be, a big pair up top, like butterfly wings. Here they're calling it a bat. I've never seen a bat with 2 pairs of wings. Anyway, they're from Mexico. You never know what their childhood was like. The Chihuahua. Anywho,
wow.
Its face is covered with fur and has red, bloodshot eyes. Also reported to have a pair of small, kangaroo-type hands that held loosely.
It goes like this.
Aw, it's a cute little monster.
For those that don't have video, Lola's putting her hands in front of herself and hopping.
Lola's totally lost her bloody mind.
Lola took medicine. She's feeling better now.
So the student that had seen him claims that the strange humanoid chased him. A young student of Universidad Regional del Norte.
Yeah, okay.
Sounds expensive.
No, it just means he's high.
Said he was chased for 15 minutes on March 6th, on the evening.
He was driving.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jordan.
We're listening.
I love the commentary, though. It almost makes me want to stop reading and cry.
It's kind of like, what's that movie, 3000?
We've tortured him enough.
The witnesses were driving a Liberty back to his home after his studies when he saw the bulk of the roadway asphalt resembling a hunched-over man who seemed to be covered with a blanket. The figure suddenly stood up, taking 2 huge leaps forward and displaying a set of wings similar to those of a bat. The young man floored the accelerator in an attempt to flee, but the strange creature flew with great power, keeping abreast of the vehicle.
And that's what I was saying. That kind of resembles one of the Mothman.
One of the Mothman stories. They saw it.
Came while they were driving, looking through their window a little bit.
If you remember with Mothman, Mothman wasn't exactly...
That's why we have a phone call, Nick. He does the worst dancing. He's over there like...
Wait, hey...
Between him and Bill DeFabio, I'm going to start...
Lola. Nick,
Are you saying that I am very bad at hand gestures?
Yes.
I'm going to get poster board. Is there a call? And then hold it up?
No, there is, and I refuse to let them on, Nick. So, that's,
Nick's going to hang up his headphone and go home.
Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Ladies and gentlemen, 8 minutes remain in Lolathon Tuesday. 8 minutes remain.
You do need to have kind of a telethon, just try to collect money while you're going.
Lola's here all day, isn't she, Steve?
Yeah.
Well, I thought she was serious there for a moment when she said she wasn't going to let me on.
Well, now, if I knew it was you, I would have believed her, and I was like, yeah, you're right.
I would let you on, Steve. You know that.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Interesting topic, that UFO, the UFO dude. He didn't sound, I guess, like I expected him to.
Yeah.
He was more a Myron Cope than, Vin Scully.
Mm-hmm.
But he was interesting, and you could tell that 110% he believes everything he was talking about.
Yeah.
Where are those photos? Where are the 10,000 photos from the Mexico City sighting?
Now Mexico City, that's
I tried to look them up.
The Mexican government released a bunch of photos too, didn't
I think
they?
there's also some video if you go on YouTube, look up Mexico City. I don't have an internet in front of me. Someone wants to try. I think you can see, and if they're remembering the video correctly, you'll see a bunch of lights in the sky. I mean a bunch of them that they didn't know what the heck they were. They were just hanging there in the sky, and people were just
like Arizona.
Well, these were
military
Arizona
crafts.
At least.
It was military crafts with Mexico.
Yeah, well, Arizona at least was kind of the triangle that we're talking about. These were just everywhere, and it wasn't stars. They were close. People could see them.
I Googled Mexico City UFO, and I got a couple videos.
Yeah, I just found it. Now, the obvious question, there have been mass sightings before. Was there not one in Arizona?
Yeah.
There's one there.
The Phoenix Lights.
Yeah.
We talked to Lynn Kitai about that. Gulf Breeze is a famous mass sighting that he talked about. I didn't realize it was to the extent that he talked about it. But Gulf Breeze is always one that's kind of a buzz.
What amazed me about what he said was this repeated abduction thing.
Uh-huh.
I've always just assumed it was, snatch you up and drop you back, and that's the end of it.
Kind of like tagging animals and
they'll
just keep track of you there. This seems like, and you guys joke about me going to college. There's these things called
so does the school, but
yeah, they will not acknowledge that I'm a member. But seriously, there's these things called longitudinal studies where they study something from like the age of like 10 to the age of 60, and they talk about the progression through life. That's what it sounds like to me, is a longitudinal study, to the point where they're going to the morgue afterwards and seeing what happens. I mean, it's,
I got that, Nick. Now, first of all,
you're the only one.
Don't you say that. We completely understood.
No, I thought you were just laughing at me still from being in college.
No. See, it's not that we laugh at you for being in college. We laugh at you for still being in college.
I graduate May 9th.
Well, wait, that still remains to be seen.
Whoa,
Until you get that paper in your hand.
I am bringing you the diploma.
All right.
Use all of your ghost-busting equipment to record that one.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple of obvious questions, I think, anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Comparisons between the mass Mexico City sighting and the Phoenix Lights sighting. Are these the same kind of orbs? Are we talking about the same kind of aliens allegedly doing all this abducting?
The difference between the two that I can think of, a lot of people from the Phoenix Lights experience this kind of feeling of happiness, feeling like everything's going to be okay.
Contentment,
yeah, contentment. Mexico City, they were scared half to death.
Right.
It could be the culture difference, though.
It could be the culture difference.
The temperament, yeah. I mean,
the Phoenix Lights.
What do they have to worry about except foreclosure now?
Yeah, the Phoenix Lights was from most reports one craft. It started at the northern part, even in Utah, and it actually slowly almost paraded through Utah all the way through Arizona. It was sighted not just in Phoenix, which is kind of a misnomer, but all up and down Arizona.
What about the shape of the ship?
It was a triangle-shaped craft. It was one of the ones what we just said.
But it had several orbs of light, which made it look as in
the
Mexico.
The ones in Mexico.
The Mexico City, since it was daylight, you can clearly see that there was different orbs. I don't want to say that.
I'd almost say they're smaller ships,
but it looked like there were several going. Whereas in Phoenix, it was said to be one craft with several orbs of light attached to it.
If I had to guess,
a loner, gotcha, or a community, one way or the other. Now, as far as all the abductions, are we talking about all two-eyed aliens? Are there three-eyed aliens? Do we have any eight-eyed aliens?
I think you mentioned
there are grays, reptiles, and humanoid.
Yeah, okay. I guess the grays are the little 3-4 foot tall, big-headed, really skinny arms, really
your traditional
typical,
what you think
alien.
If you piss them off, they rough you up.
Okay, next question. Remember when he was talking about everybody having a little reptile in us?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember the movie Waterboy?
I don't want to know where he's going to go with this.
Yeah.
Okay, remember the movie
The medulla
Waterboy?
oblongata.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you remember, Colonel Sanders was trying to tell the Waterboy that it was just like what's in what?
An
alligator.
Yeah.
So, I wanted one of you guys to pull out what's it called again?
The medulla oblongata.
Sounds like a Disney movie.
Yeah.
I'd pay to watch it.
Nick and I at times really try to reserve our need to throw out movie quotes because we're told that nobody gets them.
Well, they'd have got that one when you were talking about a crocodile and a reptile. Jeez.
I can get obscure. I can try. We should do that next week.
I'm an avid listener, Nick. It is because you are still in college.
You know what? I would defend myself and say that I am getting at least 2 major concentrations for education.
And
now we'll see in September. He'll be already signed up for his master's.
I was thinking about doing that.
See,
I know it. You know what? I enjoy learning. I love to go home and read.
But at some point in time, one has to grow up and get a job.
I'm going out to get a job. So,
well,
does that count as a job?
Actually,
that's when we need the ghost hunting equipment.
No, actually, there's the student populations at all graduate schools, especially state schools. They're going to get big because kids can't come out right now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't blame you, number one.
Yeah, it's hard out there.
They'll make fun of you.
I don't blame you. But I am looking for an education job. So actually, I'm going to be calling the place tomorrow. So.
Well,
Jordan was telling me about it.
Keep
thank you.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah, everybody start praying.
Hey, Steve, thanks a lot for calling, man.
It is my pleasure. Great show, guys.
Thanks. Enjoy yourself tomorrow.
Lolith on Tuesday.
We're under 1 minute, right?
We are done.
We're done. Lolathon is over.
Yes, it is.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Steve.
Bye, Steve. All right, everybody. That's all we got for this week. Next week, do we got?
I'm still waiting for Frank Ficino to call me, but if not, you said you wanted a psychic. I might go out and try to find you a psychic.
All right. We're going to have something fun next week, whatever we decide on.
And then we have the Weird USA people after that, so it'll be fun.
That's going to be a really good story. That's going to be full of stories. That's all the time we got for today. Until next week, everybody, don't be afraid, only believe.